Good morning. I'm Glenn Caruso, head football coach at the University of St. Thomas, and welcome to the Elevator Clinics. Especially in this time, we're all very busy. We love football, and we want to respect each other's time, so we thought we'd combine the thought that we have with our career development, with our young men at the University of St. Thomas and our career development. We talk quite a bit about our elevator pitches. If you had one elevator ride with someone who might hire you or who you want to share your thoughts and vision with, how clearly, how succinctly can you get it down to 30 seconds or a minute? So we thought we'd carry that same exact thought process into a very brief but neat clinic. 5 minutes, 5 questions, no waste of time. And this is our very first episode ever. So very proud to have Doug Samuels on. Most of you guys will know him from Football Scoop. I think that's as rampant as it gets as far as education of football coaches. He does an amazing job at that. But truth be told, he's the head football coach at Comstock Park, and he's on with us today. Coach, so happy to have you here as our very first guest.
I'm fired up to be here, Coach Caruso.
We're going to get into it. You're an O-line guy. I'm an O-line guy. I think that's why we get along really well. Coach, if you don't mind maybe sharing with us what your favorite O-line drill is.
O-line drill-wise, we're a big GT team, so, for our guard to be able to recognize whether that the end man or B-gap defender, C-gap defender is closing, or if we can kick him out, he's got to be able to know whether he's going to kick him out or log him. So we go through a kind of a half line drill all the time. It's an everyday drill for us, but with us really investing in GT, that's my top O-line drill right there.
Can you take us through, as we have a little bit of time, and how you do set up the drill?
Yeah. So, we'll have the right side of the line on one side, the left side of the line on the other, and we'll just rapid fire with the guard and the tackle. They'll get a read from the guy they're supposed to kick out. If he squeezes down, we're working to log him. That tackle's got to read that, and he's going to now bounce it around to the outside. So, in 1 minute, that's kind of how we do it. And then rapid fire, right and left, coach standing right behind so he can see it.
That's awesome. You're also head coach, so practice efficiency is always something that a lot of coaches are trying to get better at. Give me a couple quick thoughts on how you work hard with your staff to make your practice as efficient as possible.
Our practices are set up a little different at the high school level. It's a lot like a college practice where, different days we'll have offensive emphasis days, we'll have defensive emphasis. So I don't have a JV staff. I have a staff that I want my players to hear the same coaching points for 4 years. So, those offensive guys will work 2/3 of the practice with the varsity. The defensive guys are with the JV, and then 2/3 of the way through practice we switch. And then the next day is completely flipped. So, our practice structure looks very similar to a college structure where we have, 10 minutes of Indy to start things off. Then we'll go to an inside fun period, we call it. Just inside run, and then skelly, and then team, and then we flip it. And if you're on the defensive side of the ball, you just have an abbreviated session of each of those. Instead of 15 minutes or 10 minutes, it's a 3 to 5 minute session and just going through stuff.
You actually call inside run, inside fun?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a big deal.
That's pretty awesome. You're also calling plays, and you don't have to necessarily. I'm going to ask you a difficult question because I'm going to ask what the toughest defense is that you went against and why. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to say what the team is if you want to keep them out of it. But what was it and why? Why was it difficult to prepare for and execute?
For us, I think the 3-3 stack gives us some issues, and it's not necessarily the box that gives us issues. It's kind of the ambiguity of the secondary where there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to why people are lining up to where they are. And I think a lot of that is just because they have freedom because they had the box count. They've got 6 guys there all the time. But that's something that gave us issues. I love to be able to run GT into the 3-3 stack. But as far as the secondary structure and responsibilities, I think the 3-3 stack probably gave us the most issues than anything. As a high school program, you don't get a ton of time to devote to blitz and things like that. Where at the college level, you do have a little bit more time. But the 3-3 stack can give you some issues for us.
Awesome. Coach, everybody is looking for ways to try and improve their culture. When you took over there at the beginning of your journey, what were the most important things that you think you had to do with the culture, and how did you do those?
Uh, Comstock Park has been kind of a different deal with this whole COVID situation and not being able to be around the kids. But for me, it's always connecting with the kids. I'm not, some people talk about being in a high school and recruiting kids to come out to your program. I don't really take that belief. I'm going to go out and create as many genuine relationships as the kids that I can. And if they want to play football after that, then great. But you're going to get more out of those kids if you've got a genuine relationship with them than if you're like, hey, why don't you come out and try football for a week, and if you like it, stick around. In my experience, you never maximize their potential if they're not fully invested in it. So if they can be fully invested in me or my coaches, and then get them to come out, that's where we really see value. So that's the first thing that we do, and then it's just creating excitement around that, whether it's a tweak in the helmet or stuff we're doing in the weight room, things like that, just creating and driving the excitement level.
Awesome. And Coach, I'd like to finish it on a way that we can all kind of grow, and something we've learned. I think sometimes we get so focused on teaching that sometimes as mentors or coaches, we don't always think about the learning capacity. In these last 2 or 3 weeks, as so much has changed, give our viewers something that you learned about yourself, or just something that you learned and how to do something better.
Yeah, so I think with the time that a lot of us have right now to be invested in professional development, and I think the best way that you can do that with limited resources that some of us may have is reading. So pick up a book and read something that has nothing to do with football. Read a leadership book or a biography or something along those lines. I'm hooked right now on a book called The Power of Moments, and how you can create moments for your kids that is that and the psychology behind that. So they talk about things like some people are doing the middle school signing day thing, and the psychology behind that, why kids absolutely love it. And it talks about the points in people's lives where you can make the most impact with a memory. And really, you talk about creating an intentional culture. The book is all about creating intentional memories for your team or your family or whatever. It's a really great book that I just got into that I can't get enough of.
And I think, Coach, that one of the things everybody's learning is exactly what we've been discussing for the last several minutes. Is it's about time, and it's about handling that well. And you're right, those moments and how we apply those to our kids' lives down the road. I think we're all here because we had an unbelievable experience in football, and we're grateful for that. So there it is. It's 5 minutes, 5 questions, no wasted time. With Doug Samuels, really happy to have you on. Thanks for taking your time.
Appreciate it, Coach Caruso.
I appreciate you. May always be moving upwards and making the most of your time. See you tomorrow.